Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast. I'm Dan here with Big Cass, and we have a huge guest, a big guest, Big Game Boomer. Welcome to the show. We're gonna talk, just everything. But Big Game Boomer, how you been? How did you become Big Game Boomer? Let's start there.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me on. Hope you guys are doing well. Really, I mean, it's pretty simple. During COVID, we all picked up probably hobbies that we didn't do before.
Yeah.
We were all locked down. I guess it was like November of 2020. I took the week of Thanksgiving off and just got on Twitter and you see all the banter between fan bases. And I started getting into it. And you guys are Ohio State fans, so you'll like this. I got into it with Desmond Howard. And
Love it.
he was like, I messaged him and I tweeted at him and I was like, how disgusted are you with Michigan this year? And he messages me back and he's like, how disgusted are you with OU's performances against K-State and Iowa State? And I was like, Harbaugh needs to go. And he's like, I've expressed that many times on game day. Ever since then, I was like, this is fun. So once the season was over, I just started kind of cranking out these graphics and it's just kind of a snowball effect, just kind of one idea after another. And I had like 50 followers back in November of 2020. And I think I've got like 45,000 now. And
yeah, I remember I remember following you probably when you were in the 4,000 or 5,000s.
Oh, really? Long time.
Yeah, I remember you in 2020 for sure. What do you say has been your most controversial list?
Well, hold up. He just proved a point that Desmond Howard is a liar because he has never got on College Game Day and called for Jim Harbaugh's job.
Yeah. No, that was that. I was stunned that he like snapped at me like that. I was like, well, okay, this is cool that you can interact with like famous people on Twitter. Yeah, it is hilarious. So you just said most controversial list?
Yeah. What has been your most, I guess, controversial or list that's blown up the most?
Well, the one that blew up, and this is kind of when I realized like, okay, hey, I think I got something going here, was when I did the best pizza joint in every college town.
Yeah, that was controversial.
That was like in March, I think, of 2021. And I put Chuck E. Cheese for Alabama. And I wasn't trolling Alabama at all. People thought, oh, this guy's a troll. But like, I have a family member that went to Alabama and she didn't eat pizza much, I guess, when she was there. And she was like, there's a Chuck E. Cheese close to campus. And so that's kind of what I went with. And like Chuck E. Cheese was
not bad, actually.
Yeah, the pizza's all right. I've got a little kid, so we go there every now and then. But Chuck E. Cheese was trending on Twitter that whole day, and I mean it was hilarious.
I forgot what you put for Ohio State. I want to say, was it Cecilia's or Adriatico's, or neither?
It might have been Adriatico's. I think it was that, or maybe Tommy's Pizza.
I think it was Tommy's. It was Tommy's.
That's right next to the
Tommy's is right across the street. Yeah, Tommy's is right across the street from the right across the street from St. John, next to College Traditions and all that. But yeah, it's right there.
So you definitely put thought behind this. Like, I mean, do you sit down in a room and just like go one by one? Like, how do you approach these lists?
Absolutely, it depends on the list. Like when I haven't been to every college town. It's a kind of a goal of mine to get to every college town, but I have a huge network of fans from all across the country, from every school. So from school towns that I haven't been to, I get their recommendations on like food stuff. But now, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, I rank players, I rank coaches. That's all like my own analysis. And I mean, a lot of the times they're pretty dang close to like what you'll see on like 24/7 or ESPN. And those lists just go crazy. And I take those seriously because like I'll see like a kid's parent post that list on Facebook, like saying how proud they are of their son, or like a coach's wife sharing it and like saying, I'm so proud of you. Like it's cool. So those I do spend a lot of time trying to make sure that it's a legit list.
Which
Yeah.
which I don't think a lot of people knew. Well, at least a lot of our listeners probably wasn't sure. Because like when they see like the Chuck E. Cheese Alabama, they think, oh, he might be throwing in like a troll thing here or there. But like you're actually going through this, which is one by one, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know which lists we've roasted you on our podcast.
Oh yeah. You'll agree with me. You'll agree with me. You'll hate me. I mean, that's part of it. That's what makes it great.
It was actually the week before you dropped like your top podcast, which somehow we were on, which is like, I don't like, I'll take it. Like we keep saying, it's like when Matthew McConaughey won the Oscar for like Dallas Buyers Club over Leonardo DiCaprio for Wolf of Wall Street. We have no idea how we won, but we'll take it. We know you're being legit. But where was Josh Proctor on your top safeties?
Yeah, that was one of them.
That was my biggest question.
Well, see, with Ohio State's secondary, they've just got to prove it to me. I mean, what was there? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think they were like 98th, 99th in pass defense last year.
Not great.
I do like Tanner McAllister, that transfer from Oklahoma State. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be playing the nickel position. But just for returning guys, I got to see more this year to put them in the top 50.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So let's go a little here. 2016, the 2-hour blackout in Oklahoma, in Norman, the basic defense game.
Yeah.
We want to know your thoughts on that game. Actually, let's just do back to back. Just your thoughts on the home and home series. And was it really like in Baker Mayfield's mind? Like, do you think he was being a little childish, knowing that Ohio State was that they sing their alma mater every game, or do you think he just found that as a reason to go into Columbus and do the ridiculous, try to plant a flag on turf? Just take us back through those two games.
Yeah. So what was it? Austin Kendall, I think it was OU's like third string quarterback that said Ohio's, I mean, just a boneheaded comment, really not even a big deal, but you can't say if that gets leaked to the press, then it becomes a big deal. And so you guys had extra motivation, way better than OU that season, just came in and kicked our butt. So Baker Mayfield played really bad in that game. And so I think, and maybe he didn't know the whole thing about y'all singing your, was it alma mater song at the end of the game?
Yeah. Carmen, Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. But then the next year, I think it was personal to him. I know like, on game day, like everyone picked Ohio State to win. And he took a lot of heat for losing that game a year ago, a lot from the fans, media. So I don't know if it's some more of a redemption type of feel to it. It was definitely entertaining. And I think the reason that he struggled so much in Cleveland with the fan base has a lot to do with that flag plant, because, a lot of Ohio State fans are Cleveland Browns fans.
Oh, well, yeah. I, for one, am not a Cleveland Browns fan.
Are you a Bengals fan?
I hate the Browns. I'm a Bengals fan.
Okay.
But like when I saw that, I mean, I was upset because Ohio State lost, because, obviously I am. But when he tried to plant that flag, I just laughed, because it's like, dude, you're planting a flag on something that has no mud, no dirt to like solidified to stand that flag up. So as soon as he planted it, just dropped to the ground. So I just laughed. I mean, but I do say this. I hope week one he starts at quarterback for Carolina and just destroys the Browns, because I feel like the Browns did him dirty, because he brought life. I mean, honestly, he brought life to Cleveland. He did everything in his power, I thought, to build a championship winning team in Cleveland. And I think the fans turned their back on him. And it doesn't help that he's been there, 4 or 5 years, and he's had 3 coaches already, head coaches. So it's not like, I mean, give the guy a break, and they didn't do him very justice. So I really hope that when he starts week 1 against Cleveland and Carolina, he just absolutely destroys the Browns.
Absolutely.
He'll somehow be an MVP candidate. Just watch. It'll be classic Browns. Just
I mean, he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. Madden just rated him a 69 overall rating. So
well, if you're because they have the Baker Mayfield cycle on like Twitter, it's when he plays with the chip, that's where the cycle's like where he's gonna peak. So he's gonna play with a chip, prove the haters wrong, and then it goes to just like plays terribly, plays with a chip, proves the haters wrong. Like it's just a revolving cycle. So Carolina is probably going to make like a wild card or win the NFC South now. Just watch.
Wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Don't doubt Baker for sure.
Personally, like I was at that game and I honestly didn't care. I was so stunned how that game went because it felt like the Buckeyes were in control. And then all of a sudden, JT Barrett threw a pick in the 4th, and then Oklahoma took a double-digit lead out of nowhere, and it was over. And I was just like, I feel like it was like a very anticlimactic.
And it went fast. That game went so fast. Like
it did.
Boom, it's over already. And we lost. Like it's one of them losses to a non-conference team where we kind of forgot that we lost to Oklahoma in 2017. The only thing that makes it a little memorable is all the Buckeye fans that loved Baker when he was in Cleveland. Now they hate him again.
Yeah, that game was probably the biggest non-conference win for OU, in a decade. I mean, I can't think of a bigger win than that. Because Ohio State, did you guys still go to the playoff that year?
No, we lost to Iowa.
That's right. That's when you got blown out by Iowa at Kinnick.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was a week after JT Barrett went 15 of 15 for 3 touchdowns, and when we came back by 15 twice against Penn State, and then both teams, gave it all that week, and then the next week both teams laid an egg against their two opponents.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. Like
we did win the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's crazy how basically whoever wins that game, it's basically those games were de facto playoff games both seasons, because in 2016 Ohio State won, they ended up going to a playoff. 2017 Oklahoma won, they went to the playoff, even though it's early in the season. It was basically like those de facto playoff games. And right. I have no beef with the Oklahoma fan base at all. I think they're one of probably the most reasonable fan bases actually, in my opinion. They're kind of like Ohio State, just the Big 12 version. But for the most part, every Oklahoma fan I talked to in 2017 at the stadium was super respectful. I actually had a couple of drinks with a couple of them at a local bar. We were just talking after the loss.
Oh, nice.
So I mean, I gotta give credit to the Sooners fans.
It's a fan base that the team is ranked probably top 5 of all time when it comes to top 10 at least when it comes to all-time programs. And it's the only fan base, I think, in the top 10 that's worthy of talking to. Like, Texas fans are completely outrageously stupid. Michigan fans, same way. Notre Dame is the most delusional. Alabama just get annoying, but you have to give them respect anyways because of all the championships they win. I mean, that's just it. That's, of course, Ohio State. I even find Ohio State fans obnoxious sometimes. I mean, so
there's always some. There's always some in your own fan base.
We know that. I mean,
we know one guy. Not mentioning names.
We know multiple guys at this point. But I guess, while we have you, let's talk a little conference realignment, because, your Sooners are kind of at the forefront of this with going to SEC. What are your thoughts on the future of the Big 12?
I think the Big 12 is in a very strong position right now. A year ago, we were all saying the Big 12 was dead, but, they added BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston, and that's now looking like a genius move because they got big markets, teams that are kind of on the rise. Now it's the Pac-12 that is kind of scrambling right now. And, the Pac-12 turned down a lot of those Big 12 teams. They all applied to get into the Pac-12 last year, and the Pac-12 turned their noses up to, the Texas Techs, Kansas States, Oklahoma States of the world. So it's kind of a reverse operation here. And I think the Pac-12 is going to stay together at this point for the time being. I think Oregon and Washington are kind of strong holding the other schools into staying just because they want to be in the Big 10. They do not want to be in the Big 12. So I honestly don't see the Pac-12 expanding at all, and they're just going to stay at 10 teams. But I think the Big 12 is in good shape.
I think the Pac-12 eventually will end up getting some of the Mountain West schools. The big key right now, obviously, college football is all eyes are on Notre Dame. We all know that. I think personally, I came up with Dan and I came up with he came up with the 4 conference thing with pods. I put the gravy and stuff like on top. I wrote an article about it.
Everyone stole. Let the record show too. We did our episode like that day when the conference realignment came out, and I came up with this pod idea, and then literally every other website and podcast literally 2 days later was like, oh, how about this pod idea? I was like, literally my idea, but they'll never credit with me with it in the dictionary, but the Wikipedia, but let the record show.
I honestly see I think the Pac-12 the all eyes are on them. If Oregon, Washington, and Stanford somehow join the Big 10, they're obviously going to be another Pac-12, and I think Colorado is that one team. So then you look at the Big 12. Okay, if I'm the Big 12 and you see some of these schools in the Pac-12 joining the Big 10, I'm going after Utah, just because BYU Utah rivalry is top 10 in my opinion in rivalries. You have to get that. Colorado, I think Colorado is the interesting one just because they have the ties with Nebraska, but they also have ties with Oklahoma. They ain't joining the SEC because then you'll have another Mizzou. So it's going to be quite interesting when all this conference alignment comes out. But I think every conference at this moment is waiting to see what Notre Dame is going to do. Am I correct?
Yeah, no, and I don't think Notre Dame's going to do anything this calendar year. So we may be sitting around and something probably next summer around this time is going to happen. But yeah, if I'm the Big 12, I aggressively go after Colorado, Utah, and the Arizona schools and just try to completely raid the Pac-12. Makes the most sense to me. But we'll see.
This question is not on our talking point. This just came up to my top of my head.
Yeah.
Just real quick. Do you think the NCAA dropped the ball by not expanding the playoffs for all these expansion? Because I believe if they expanded to at least 6 or 8 in the playoffs, you don't see these. I don't think you see all these mega conferences.
No. I do agree, but and that this whole alliance thing with the Big 10, Pac-12, ACC is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Because it's
I almost feel like that was a setup for some reason. I feel like the Big 10 was setting up one of the conferences to fail, and they were going to poach. I feel like that was kind of the plan all along for some reason.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm giving Kevin Warren way too much credit, but I feel like he did something devious there.
Dude, Kevin Warren has no credit for adding USC and UCLA. That was all the 80s, starting with Gene Smith at Ohio State. Guarantee it.
Yeah, I heard Gene Smith was involved. But go ahead. But back to your question, I don't think that these super conferences, I don't think it's motivated by the playoff expansion. It's all about money. I mean, these schools are going to be making in the Big Ten and the SEC are going to be making $40 to $50 million a year more than schools outside of those conferences. So, I mean, just think about all of the advantages you get from going to a conference with that kind of money. UCLA fans could probably care less about making the playoff, but they've been in the hole financially with their athletics for years, we're going to have to cut some programs. But now with this move to the Big Ten, they're going to save a lot of programs. So I think, I mean, it's a money grab at the end of the day.
Yeah.
By the way,
lie.
but
No
real
lie,
quick,
go ahead.
did you change your background for us to put OSU in the shoe and the helmet right there?
Oh yeah, man. I got all my Big Ten schools.
I see that. I love that. I just noticed that detail. I just wanted to point that out. I love
dude.
that.
I collect helmets. It's just kind of a hobby. Got them all over the place. But yeah, I've got an OSU one with the little Buckeye stickers on it. It's a good one.
I love it. Sorry, I cut you off, Cass. I had to point that out.
No lie. My buddy and I, we in 2018, we went to Northwestern Purdue game, and we had a Purdue fan come up, and my buddy's a Penn State fan, come up to both of us and said, I would like to thank Penn State and Ohio State for our new multiplex sports venue. And we're like, at first we're like, what is he talking about? He's like, oh, because of all the bowl games and Big Ten championships you guys win, we want to thank you for
that. That's funny.
Yeah.
I will say just one more thing though. The Big 12, the one thing they will always have going for them is just they're right now an elite basketball conference. They are, other than the ACC, I mean the Big 10 too, but Big 12 has won, the majority of the championships recently. They got, Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech. I mean, they're really probably one of the best basketball conferences right now. I mean, outside of Duke, UNC, and then obviously, the gauntlet of like the 7 or 8 solid Big 10 teams that never make it past the Elite Eight.
That's because the Big 10 beat each other up, man.
Yeah, that is true. I would say the basketball wise, Big 12 and Big 10 are the best. ACC's been down for a few years now.
Yeah, I will say Big 12 basketball is fun for the most part because it's like electric. It's like basically like scoring like the Big 12 in football, but it's college basketball, so it's a little more lively than Big 10 where it's grinded out 55, 54 games or something. Like
a Big 10 West football game.
Yeah, that's how our basketball is.
So let's talk about this year. And we've seen your rankings, and you got Travion Henderson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and CJ Stroud ranked high. I mean, everybody has them ranked high on everything.
Oh yeah.
Could you see all three of them in New York? Because this offense could be just as good or maybe a little bit better than that 2019 LSU projecting. I'm just saying, than that 2019 LSU offense. Could you see all three of them possibly in New York for the Heisman? Because I feel right now the Heisman race for this year, it's two guys. You've got some other guys here and there like Bijan Robinson and Jackson Smith and Jigba, but right now, realistically, it's just two guys. Could you see three guys for Ohio State in New York?
I think definitely, but no, because you've got these Heisman voters. A lot of them are Ohio State writers and stuff, and so they're gonna take away votes from Travion Henderson or Njigba. So I could see at the most two guys getting there. The three, I don't even know if there's ever been three finalists from one school to the Heisman.
We were close with Chase Young and Fields, and then Dobbins. Dobbins was like there, but
I think Dobbins finished fifth.
Yeah, I think he finished right. Yeah, I think we were actually complaining because it was like they cut it off at 4, and I think he was the 5th, and we were complaining like they just let him go at that point.
Yeah. We'll see though. And also like Will Anderson, if he, at Alabama, if he has like 30 sacks, because the dude's just a freak. I mean, I could easily see him winning it.
Could you see Stroud and Njigba and Bryce Young and Will Anderson be the 4 in New York?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I ranked like my top 100 players going into the season. I think those were the top 4. So I could easily see that. That Rose Bowl game, man, was crazy.
I could, from just like looking at your Sooners, I could see, not just choked. I could see Dylan Gabriel and Marvin Mims, that combo potentially if they explode. It this is a hot take, but it could be like a Baker Mayfield, D.D. Westbrook type season if everything goes, phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, as a Sooner fan, I'd love to see that, but man, they're not there. I don't think they're anywhere close to Stroud and Jigba. That's going to be a dynamic duo for sure.
Realistically, what do you see your Sooners doing?
Well, I mean, I'm a little worried about the depth on the offensive line. That kind of struggled last year. The defense should be all right. I mean, they've got talent. They've got enough talent to be competitive in the Big 12. My biggest concern is with Dylan Gabriel and his durability. He did break his collarbone last year. And Jeff Lebby, if you follow his offense at Ole Miss, loves running the quarterback. And so Dylan Gabriel played most of the snaps in the spring game because we don't really have much of a backup. So if he goes down, this season could go south really quickly. So
you guys you guys do have an easier schedule to begin the season. At least it's manageable. And I actually had I was talking about last week. I have you guys as a sneaky dark horse for the playoff. Just because I feel like everyone's kind of writing off Oklahoma. You're still, a prestigious program. You still have, blue chip guys. They're like, recruiting might not be, what it was, but you still have the talent. And if Venables puts it together real quick, which he could, you never know. Easy schedule, quarterback, good receiver. I could see a world where, they're 11-1, 12-0. Playing for I mean, I don't think it's crazy.
I like your optimism.
I don't think it's crazy. And they're also, I mean, think about it. That team. They're angry. Their coach left. Their quarterback left. They didn't want to be there. And you saw in the bowl game how, they just played phenomenal. They were locked in. I wonder because college football is a game of just hate and, anger. If they just bring that in the off season, I could see them truly being, and I'm not saying this because you're here. I truly feel that maybe Oklahoma is a dark horse. They'll probably get waxed in the playoff, but they will.
Yeah, that's why I honestly I hope this year they don't make the playoff because I think Ohio State and Bama are by far the two best teams, and they'll wax whoever they play. So I think 9-3 is realistic if they hit 10-2. I think that's possible. But I'm not going into this season thinking, hey, this is a potential national championship run.
What would be a successful season in your book for them?
I would say
I'll give you mine after he's done.
I would say not. I mean, and I'm not like most Sooner fans. Most Sooner fans think that, we're going to win the national championship this year. So, I mean, 10-2 and maybe just playing in the Big 12 championship would be fine with me. But I think people are setting the bar way too high for a team that just lost a lot last year.
I have 9-3 or 10-2 playing USC in the Holiday Bowl and beating USC.
I like it. I will go to that game if that happens. As will all of the state of Oklahoma.
I got them as Big 12 champs and just 4 seed.
I mean, I was watching this prediction here, and a lot of people high on Kansas State. This guy had Kansas State going 10-2. Had Kansas State going 10-2 and playing Texas in the Big 12 championship. But Big 12, honestly, Big 12 could be sneaky this year. I think
Baylor's good.
There's no front runner.
Texas,
there's no front runner.
That's why I think it might be really fun to watch the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's no really proven quarterback. And I do like Baylor because I think that they are the most physical in the trenches, solid offensive line, solid defensive line. They lost their 2 skill guys, Treston Ebner and Abram Smith. But I think, I'm a believer that the games are won in the trenches. And so that's why I like Baylor right now going into the season.
I like their coach too.
Yeah, Aranda's a stand-up guy.
We made a funny, bold prediction a few weeks ago that Quinn Ewers will put himself in the transfer portal after he throws 3 picks against Alabama in the first half. I mean, I don't blame him going to Ohio State getting $1 million, but I think it was just a joke. But I don't. Texas is going to get a reality check week 2 when they play Alabama.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Quinn. I mean, yeah, like Texas, they've got all the bells and whistles skill wise, but they can't block anybody up front, and I mean they're going to get ran over by Bama.
So interesting. Going back to your lists real quick.
Yeah.
Why haven't you made a list of? And you may have, and I just haven't seen it, of college football current announcers, like a top 10.
So
duo sideline reporter. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So I did top 100 media personalities probably a couple months ago. Just search media personalities.
Okay.
And that one blew up because you had all of those guys retweeting it.
Who was your one?
God, who did I have one? I think I had Herb Street at one.
Yeah.
Gus Johnson at two. I had Josh Pate pretty high.
If you had to do broadcast team, who would your top 5 be? Broadcast teams.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like, sideline reporter, color analyst, and
I would say I love watching the game with Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. I think they do an awesome job. Then Herb Street and Fowler are obviously number 2. God, I like Joe Tessitore. I think he usually calls games with Greg McElroy.
Yeah.
And I'm big fan of Dusty Dvorak, and I can't.
He's actually good. Yeah, I know he's a former Sooner, but I do enjoy him.
Yeah, I can't. The guy that he kind of calls games with changes. But I'm just trying to think who else. I get kind of annoyed by Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. Gary Danielson kind of gets on my nerves.
I think it's Gary Danielson in general because I like Brad Nessler.
I liked Gary Danielson before I was a Buckeye. Like when I was just watching, when I didn't have a true allegiance, because before you actually go to college, I had like 10 teams I like because I don't know where I'm going to college. I didn't mind Gary Danielson. I love Todd Blackledge. Todd Blackledge is great.
Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge should be.
And I do like Tim Brando. Tim Brando's good as well.
Yeah,
I like watching his games.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I do some Fox Sports work when they come and do Big Noon Kickoff here in Columbus, and I've been up in the booth with Gus and Joel, and it's fun, and I've also been on the the other end of the spectrum and been on the studio side too. And
oh, nice.
I'd have to say between the two coaches, obviously I like Urban Meyer because he was a Buckeye, but like when it came to friendliness, like the rehearsal day, Urban Meyer blew Bob Stoops out of the water. Like,
really?
I just thought,
Urban was friendlier than Bob Stoops.
Yes, to me anyway.
To me.
Okay.
Yeah. You're a Buckeye. You're a Buckeye.
Well, no. I think it was just I caught, like somebody said, you must have caught Urban on a good day, and I must have because it was rehearsal day. I parked this car. He was just friendly as can be.
He quote tweeted us.
Yeah,
really.
That same weekend. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He did give us an IO or whatever.
Like I said, and then Bob Stoops last year, it was like, hey Bob, Coach Bob, and he just walked away. It's like, really, dude? Like,
interesting. I mean, I would have never guessed that. By the way, did Bob Stoops throw out Lincoln Riley stuff? Did you? I know you're in on that situation. Yeah. Was that ever confirmed?
I don't know. There's so much that came out during then. All I know is that he was golfing and got called in by Joe Castiglione, the athletic director. Like he was on the 6th hole of a golf course and he had to run to his car and kind of just do damage control. Cause it was just weird. Lincoln Riley just basically calls a press conference, calls the players together, says, hey, I'm taking this job. Good luck. And he's gone. And then Stoops, what he did during that transition, I think he will forever be one of the greatest Sooners of all time because he really held that fan base together during that just crazy time period.
And don't get me wrong, I do like Bob Stoops. I'm not going to take that one personal preference, preference, but that interaction I had with him. Maybe he was just in a hurry. You never know. I don't know the story. But I do respect Bob Stoops a lot, and he's one of the great in my era of lifetime. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time in my era of lifetime. And but like I made a joke when USC and UCLA came out and announced that they joined the Big Ten. I made a joke. Oh, here in 3 years, we're going to see Lincoln Riley bolting for Florida State because he can't win in the Big Ten. I mean,
yeah, I can't wait to see Lincoln Riley playing in Iowa City in late November.
No, the best one I said was it's going to be November 1st, USC at Rutgers on Big Ten Network with Brandon Godden and some former Big Ten linebacker that thinks he knows it all.
Yeah, like real quick. We got about 2 minutes left before this thing Zoom kicks us off because Zoom hates us. But could you ever see Ryan Day pulling a Lincoln Riley? Because some Ohio State fans are a little nervous about that at times.
No, because Ohio State's probably one of the top two best jobs in the country. He owns the state of Ohio for recruiting. No, I would never see that happening. I mean, where would he go? Where would he go? I mean, what's a better job than Ohio State? I guess maybe the NFL.
Yeah, that's the only thing that concerns the majority of the fans, I guess.
And what he did for Harry Miller, Harry Miller's still on scholarship. Like, make sure Harry Miller graduates. I mean, like,
yeah. He's not going anywhere. I don't think y'all have to worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we got about a minute left. But Big Game Boomer, thank you so much for coming on and just enlightening us, sharing your experience, your history, giving us Oklahoma's perspective on things. We appreciate having you on so much. Cass, anything else you want to add?
Where do you rank Roosters?
Roosters, what is that? Is that like a late night? Is that a late night?
It's in Columbus. It's like a Columbus wing place. If you're ever in town, DM me. We'll take you to Roosters. If you're in Columbus.
What they do is they make they have a kitchen staff every morning, and they chop their chicken fresh every morning.
It's a better beat.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's really good. But
yeah.
Big Game Boomer, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Bunch of Notes podcast. And as always, go Bucks.